Hello, hello. So my message for you today is something that's just been on my mind the last couple of days about stickability. I was having a conversation with a client about this a couple of days ago, and it really applies to me, and it absolutely applies to healing from grief, assuming you're on that path, if you're here with me. Or to really anything you want to achieve, the importance of stickability. And my client and I were talking about how often, you might come up with an idea of something you want to do, something you want to change, something that's important to you, and then you don't stick with it, and you don't put the time and the effort into it. And therefore, you don't get the results, you don't get the change you want, no matter what it is. I often refer to fitness just because it's a very easy, very tangible example to think about, and that's, you decide, right, that's it, I'm going to get fit, right, I'm going to get healthy, right, I'm going to get toned, I'm going to lose weight or whatever it is, and you go come up with this whole plan and you're really on it and you've got some books, but then you actually don't do anything with it, or you do for the first week and then you stop, and of course you don't get anywhere. And this applies here too. If you can hear what sounds like a ghost licking sound, that's the dog making a ghost licking sound. Can you stop that now? So thank you. He's distracted me now. So this is like anything else, healing from grief. It is going to take you some work. It is going to take some time. It's going to take some effort. It is not passive. All right, as I've said many, many times, healing from grief is not what the majority of people do. Majority of people don't believe in it. They don't know how to do it. They don't have a path to get there. And you've seen what happens when people just wait, which is nothing. You just, it's this idea in society of acceptance, the fifth stage, absolute nonsense stages of grief. But the idea being the fifth stage is acceptance, which I always call, it's not real acceptance, it's begrudging resignation, where you get it, you get it. You don't like it, you get it. You learn to live with it. That's what happens over time. You just get used to the fact that they're dead. You get used to your grief. You get used to not thinking about them very much anymore as time goes on, which is not healing. It might feel like you feel better, but avoiding your triggers that's not healed. So to get this completely different result than what most people get is going to take, you're going to have to take steps down this path. You're going to have to take all the steps down this path. And it's doable. You might need to spend a few months doing this, but better than a lifetime of grieving, right? Better than a lifetime of unnecessary pain and grieving. But you've got to stick with it. You've got to stick with it. And, now and again I'll have someone write to me and say, I've gone through every blog you've ever written, and I've done every exercise that you've ever recommended, and, I read the ebook and I did all the things that said, and my God, how different I feel. And that's, that's just from being on my blog. It's not from working with me. It's all there. The information's there, but you have to do something with it. And, I know for myself, there are so many times I've decided I'm going to have a new spiritual practice or a new exercise plan, or I've got some book that's on personal development or productivity or something, and I read the book. And this is what my client and I were talking about. When you get the idea and you feel like you've done the work because you had the big idea. Because, first step is awareness and setting the intention. But if that's the only step you take, it's not good for anything. And I've done it many times, of reading a book and going, wow, this book's really given me food for thought, and I have a different way to live, and I'm going to take on board what it is I've learned and do something with it. And then 6 months down the line, I don't even remember having read the book. I haven't done anything with it. The implementation is really important. So, the number of times people have been in touch with me for years sometimes who read my blogs but don't actually do anything with the information. And I wish I was somehow magical, and just the sheer looking at my blog in that photo that's about 1 million years old would heal you. I wish I had such magical, mystical powers that I could do that, but alas, I do not. You need to do the work. You need to do the work. So if you are coming to this path and you do find my blogs useful, and I have the book that I've mentioned before that it's probably a few months away, but that will have all the steps in it. That will have all the info in it, what to do. So hang in for that one as well. But, you know, if you've read one of my blogs about the importance of beliefs or how to find the gifts in this death, take time with that. You need to really take time with it. Don't just read the blog. Not if you want results from it. Spend some time with it. Carve out some months to do these things, because that is what it's going to take. Like I said, otherwise it really is just pure entertainment, and I'm not sure I'm that entertaining for you just to be here reading and watching me without getting any results. So it is that stickability. And for myself, I've had to look at that with a couple of things in my life. And one of the things I've had to do is really focus down on what I'm doing, deciding the one or two things I'm working on, and then just excluding all other information, stopping reading every other article I can find, stopping going straight into the next book, because all it does is it distracts you to something else. So especially when it comes to grief, because you're going to find if you're interested in healing, 99% of what's written out there and what's shared and what the people around you tell you is not only not going to help you, it's going to hinder you. It's going to stop you from getting anywhere. So, you know, if you've found some of my blogs that have given you food for thought, then stop and spend time with that over a couple of weeks, over a month. Really give it the time it deserves. Really narrow and really be determined that you're going to make a shift. But again, just like fitness, it's not going to happen through one day of exercise. It's not going to happen through 3 days of exercise. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some energy to make these changes. So, you know, as I said, I really wanted to share this at a time when I'm thinking about my own stickability. And I mean, the book's a good example that I really have to keep myself on it and keep myself coming back to it every day, especially when it's hard, right? And anything to do with your grief is, you know, not the most fun. And parts of it can be, when you start to discover the stuff you haven't seen, parts of it can be really joyful and very lightening on you. But some of it's hard as well. And some of it's hard simply because it's work you haven't done before. You know, just like being in the gym and working out a muscle you haven't worked before, haven't worked very much, or up-leveling what you're doing. It's difficult, you know, it takes some energy. So commit to it if you really mean it. Commit to it if you really want to get somewhere with healing. Commit to it and spend the time, because it will pay off, but you have to put in the time and energy to it. Of course, you know, anybody who wants to, you can always get in touch with me, find out about working with me. That's the, you know, like with a personal trainer, that's working hand in hand, and I'll take you there. But you know, if that's not where you are right now or not what you want to do, you can do some of these steps on your own, but you just have to make sure that you stick with it. Stick with it, because it will change your life if you stick with it. All right. Lots of love.